My name is Douglas Terry, and I am going to introduce a new composite which is going to revolutionize the way composite bonding is done today. Here we have a Class 4 direct restoration utilizing point 4. The following preoperative facial views show a horizontal fracture due to an accident playing basketball. This tooth had been repaired 2 times since the fracture and was unsuccessful, probably due to an inadequate tooth preparation. The proper shade of composite was selected prior to rubber dam placement to prevent an improper shade matching due to dehydration. Once anesthesia had been administered to the patient, the teeth were isolated with a rubber dam to protect against contamination. A chamfer 3/10 of a millimeter in depth was placed 2 millimeters long around the entire margin. Then a scallop bevel on the chamfer was placed to break up the straight chamfer line. Always bevel the gingival margin 0.5 millimeters if it is on enamel. The lingual aspect of the chamfer was extended 2 millimeters onto the lingual surface, but not onto the occlusal contact area. It should not end on the occlusal contact area unless relocating it to a contact-free area would require excessive reduction of healthy tooth structure. The total etch technique was followed, and the dental adhesive, OptiBond Solo Plus, was applied for 20 seconds with a disposable microbrush applicator using continuous motion. The first layer, the artificial dentin body of A2 shaded composite resin, 0.4, was applied and contoured with a long-bladed composite instrument and smoothed out with an artist's sable brush. Since surface irregularities could have interfered with placement of tints for internal characterization, this step was crucial. Each increment was polymerized with a curing unit, Optilux 501 Dimetron, for 10 seconds, which allows placement of a subsequent increment without deforming the underlying composite. This process was repeated with a second layer of hybrid composite to form the dentin lobes. In order to prevent overbuilding of the artificial dentin layer, it is imperative to monitor the composite from the incisal aspect to provide adequate space for the final artificial enamel layer. White tint was applied vertically between the projected dentin lobes to accent their presence. The areas underlying the mesial and distal facial line angles were highlighted with a diluted white tint, Color Plus, and overlaid with increments of XL1. Each were cured for 40 seconds respectively. These techniques utilize color variation to emphasize the tooth form and instill the restoration with a three-dimensional effect. To recreate the natural translucency of the enamel, the final layer, the artificial enamel, of T1 shaded composite 0.4 was applied and contoured with a long-bladed composite instrument and smoothed with an artist's sable brush. This layer was cured from the facial and the lingual for 40-second intervals, respectively. The initial contouring was performed with a series of finishing burrs in order to replicate natural form and texture. The facial contouring was initiated with 12 fluted, needle-shaped burrs. The lingual surfaces were contoured with 12 fluted, football-shaped burrs. Finishing the proximal, facial, and incisal angles were performed with aluminum oxide disc and finishing strips. These were used sequentially according to grit and ranged from coarse to extra fine. For characterization, finishing burrs, diamonds, and rubber wheels and points were used to create indentations, lobes, and ridges. To impart a high luster while maintaining the existing texture and surface anatomy, a soft Robinson wheel with composite paste was used to polish the restoration. The following are the final restorations immediately postoperative. The results of this class 4 fracture, utilizing point 4, were exceptionally gratifying for the patient and the clinician.